Oh, what's up, people? It is your boy, Cypher Providence, back at it again with another YouTube review, another video. We're being consistent. You know the vibes. Let's get into it. So, as you can see, based off of the image in the background, we're going to be talking about the most recent horror movie I've watched in my horror movie marathon, which is You're Next. This film was released in 2011, but for some reason, I have been getting like sites and people saying that it was released in 2013, which I'm curious on if like maybe it got like a secondary release that was more maybe like public or mainstream, and then the 2011 release like was its actual first initial release. So, yeah. Without further ado, let's get into the rest of this. So, between all of the home invasion style movies, because I'm pretty sure as you've seen, kind of a common theme of most of the most recent horror movies we've been reviewing are that they're all like home invasion style movies where the main characters are based in their home and everything, and then the antagonist or the killer ends up invading their home, and the plot goes from there. And so this, comparatively to everything else, was kind of a newer take on it, where there wasn't really just like a somewhat like small or very like compact set of characters we were focusing on for this one, or like just one character that we were focusing on. This was like a whole entire family having their house invaded, and I thought that was like interesting. That they went with this direction. It's a new take on the home invasion angle, as opposed to because most home invasion movies or things involve really just like one, maybe like I'd say between 1 and 4 people having their home invaded, whereas this had like a whole like 8 characters that we had to focus on having their house invaded. Um, the family dynamics in this one were kind of built up, but otherwise they were kind of lackluster and lame. Like, not only were the family dynamics lame, but like a lot of the characters that they were trying to like get us introduced to and everything were kind of just like not that well, like there wasn't like they were there just to like kind of fill up like the kill count in a sense. Shout out kill count. But yeah, it was just like it just felt like they were kind of, padding for numbers in terms of kills, kind of padding for, not necessarily, but kind of padding for time, and like what they wanted to extend the movie for longer, and they didn't really have like any other ways besides adding extra characters to you know for us to be engaged with and for them to end up killing off. However, despite that, I would say that there were kind of 3 sets of character dynamics that at least like were established and at least were kind of interesting and cool. That being the relationship between the main character, I think it's Aaron or something along those lines. Aaron, the female lead that you can see in the image right here, and then her boyfriend. I'm pretty sure it's boyfriend. Yeah, it was, because later they make a line about engagement. So her boyfriend. I kind of like their dynamic. I was hoping it got more light shined onto it and it was more established. But for what we got, I did enjoy it. I liked it's not like crazy liking, but I did kind of like the relationship that Aaron had with the father of the family that was all boarding at the house, at the lodge that they were going to. And I kind of like how like she was he was very open with her, and she was like trying to very much find her place within the family and introduce herself to him and everyone. And I thought like at least of those characters, they had a cool and interesting dynamic. And then the other one would be the dynamic between Crispin and his brother was really I think it's Drake is what his name is. Drake. Crispin and Drake had a dynamic I find myself having had similar types of dynamics with some of my family members, my older sisters being those people I'm referring to, but not to the same extent. Where like Crispin and Drake were arguing at times, like a lot in the film. While I did have like some of my misgrievances with family and whatnot, I've never like openly argued with that or like that with them really, aside from like maybe once or twice. But there seemed to be like some deep grudges that they were holding against each other that they hadn't aired out, and I just thought like that, and then some of the scenes later on, and some of the moments that they had later on, really like established them as like feeling like actual brothers, which I really really liked. But aside from that, yeah, like I said, the character dynamics weren't really well established, and I was hoping that they developed more, but they really didn't as we got throughout the film. Um, there are two twists in this film that were very predictable, but at least in terms of the second twist that happens towards the ending of the movie, it was good. It wasn't great or anything. It wasn't something like spectacular. It was still predictable, like I said, but it at least made the final act of the film very interesting. And with some of the dialogue that happens later on in the film, it also like just helped make that twist and everything more interesting, which I really really liked. And it kind of makes up for the first twist being so obvious, which I think they kind of uh realized as well, because it's not like they like openly try to hide it or anything. But I was just hoping that like if they were gonna have uh a twist in this, it'd be kind of less obvious. And I mean, yeah, that's basically it. It's basically like my rundown of the film. Oh, also, just to I just saw my notes right now. The killers in this film were boring. Like, aside from maybe like one moment in this film that made them, or at least made one of them more interesting, overall it just was, they were not that interesting. Which the killers don't necessarily have to be like some like cool villain that like like you have to be really like invested in or something. But it does help, especially with like a film like this that didn't have like a, aside from like the story of the film, which was like the home invasion aspect and then the characters trying to survive and everything. This one didn't have like an overarching story to it where some of the other ones did. So I felt like this one, like, it would have helped them having interesting villains, but since they didn't, it kind of just like that was a negative I saw for me personally in the film. But then a positive was the gore and the kills. At the beginning, aside from like maybe one kill, I thought it was like, oh, they were kind of cutting away from things, or they weren't really focusing on stuff, or while it was brutal or whatever, it wasn't like really like that crazy, or maybe I'm just desensitized by stuff, so it wasn't really that crazy. But as we get later on into this film, there were some very good kills, a lot of cool and interesting kills, especially with one of the characters getting stabbed a bunch by a character he thought he could trust and everything. And I really enjoyed that. And yeah, that's basically it. Now that's it. That's basically it. This film was alright. It wasn't something crazy. It didn't blow like my expectations out of the water. It wasn't something like The Strangers Pray at Night or The Thing or even Jacob's Ladder for that matter. It was a very like solid movie, at least better than the first Strangers. So for that reasoning and some of the things I've talked about throughout the film, as well as I don't think I mentioned this, but the protagonist in this film was so smart, and then the explanation they gave for like why she was so smart was solid, and then on top of that as well, the just a lot of the decision making she was doing and how badass she was as a character. It was such a treat to see. I like seeing my protagonist being smart and badass. And of course there are times where we can have protagonists that are wimpy or kind of weak, but I always hope to see that, like, at least in films like these, they don't just make the characters wimpy and weak for the sake of being wimpy and weak, or being dumb and stupid for the sake of being dumb and stupid. I always hope that, like, we kind of see, if we have characters like that, we kind of have like an evolution of that character. Like in Ready or Not, which a film I low-key want to talk about for a review, like one of these, but I've already seen it, so I don't know if I really want to do a review. But for that, like, our character was kind of like not that like, I wouldn't take them seriously if I was like the killers or anything, or if I was the antagonist. But as the movie courses on, everything, she learns, she adapts, she gets smarter, she gets better over the course of the film, and it's like it makes it worthwhile for me to watch her as a character. But yeah, that's my little rant of protagonist over, especially when talking about horror films. But with that out of the way, my score for this film is gonna be a 6 out of 10. Solid movie, like I said, not mid or average like The Strangers was. Had some things I liked, had some things I didn't like, and overall, because of those, because of all that like combined together, I thought that this was like a solid 6 out of 10. Uh, if you're interested in home invasion movies, I'd say watch it, but otherwise, if not, it's something you could watch maybe if you're like with friends or anything, if you just want to have a good time. But aside from that, it's like you don't have to go out of your way to watch it, at least in my opinion. And with that out of the way, peace. Follow the socials. I'll have it at the end of the video like I did last time. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys are doing well. Help me towards my goal of 500, and peace.